You're watching News 25. Local coverage you can count on. News 25 is brought to you by J.K. Nelson Law, voted best of Pahrump for 4 years. Give them a call, 775-727-9900. News 25 is also brought to you by Gunny's Air Conditioning and Heating. New, service, and repair. Call Gunny's, 775-727-6800.
Hello and welcome to this edition of News 25. I'm Unette Gentry, and we are streaming at KPVM.TV, and we are coming to Roku on March 1st. Today is Thursday, February 22nd. In our top story, early this morning, a nationwide cellular outage leaves hundreds of thousands of people without phone service for several hours or more. Many cellular providers are affected by today's outage. Anthony Roberts has more on this story.
At approximately 12:30 this morning on the West Coast, AT&T outages began popping up across the nation. It began with over 32,000 reported outages around 1 a.m. and later surged to over 74,000 just after 6 a.m. As of 8 a.m., the number of reported outages declined to 59,000. Many people on the internet are speculating that it may be a cyber attack. At this point in time, AT&T have not provided a cause for the outage. According to AT&T, they are working as quickly as possible to restore service to remaining customers. AT&T have reported that 75% of their network has been restored. As of 10 a.m., according to the Down Detector, the current outages for AT&T is 16,700, Cricket Wireless 3,100, Verizon 1,300, T-Mobile 800, Boost 270, and U.S. Cellular 130. The U.S. Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency said it is in touch with AT&T, but did not say there is any indication of a cyber attack. Many of the people affected by the outage have reported that they were not able to reach 911. News 25 will have more on the story as it develops.
2 men are now charged with murder in reference to the shooting that occurred during a Kansas City Chiefs celebratory parade. RJ Camacho reports.
2 men have been charged for murder in reference to the shooting that occurred at the Kansas City Chiefs Super Bowl parade. According to reports, the 2 men had a verbal argument with each other, which resulted in the 2 pulling out guns and firing at one another. The men, Lyndall Mays of Baytown, Missouri, and Dominic Miller of Kansas City, have been charged with second-degree murder and several weapon counts as well. The shooting that the 2 are accused of initiating resulted in the death of 1 and left approximately 24 others injured. According to reports, 2 groups of people had become agitated due to a belief that people in the other group were staring at them. According to surveillance footage that police reviewed, Mays and another member of his group approached the others in an aggressive manner. According to the footage, Mays was the first to begin shooting, even though he was surrounded by scores of people, which included children. Detectives stated that Mays had told them that he hesitated on shooting due to children being present. However, someone from the other group allegedly stated that, "I'm going to get you," which Mays took as a threat to his life. He additionally stated to detectives that he chose a random person from the other group and began firing as they ran away. Dominic Miller, the other man charged with murder for the Kansas City shooting, allegedly told investigators that he and his friends were running away after they heard the sounds of gunfire. However, after officers had told Miller that they had video evidence of him chasing someone in May's group and shooting at them, Miller admitted to firing 4 to 5 shots. According to reports, a bullet from Miller's gun was the one that ended the life of Lisa Lopez Galvin, the woman whose life was claimed at the parade. Authorities did not release the ages for either of the men, and only Lyndall Mays has a booking photo. However, according to court records, Mays is in his early 20s, while Miller is between the ages of 18 and 19. 2 juveniles were also detained on gun-related charges and resisting arrest as well regarding the shooting. However, authorities state that more charges are still possible for the 2.
An update now on that viral video footage of a Las Vegas judge being attacked in the courtroom. That new video footage shows Deobra Redden spitting on a corrections officer after he attacked the district court judge in her courtroom back in January. News 25 reporter David Preston has this story.
Evidence released has been shown to a Clark County grand jury after an attack on District Court Judge Mary Kay Holthus. Jurors returned with an indictment this month against the suspect. Photographs reveal the havoc left behind when the defendant, Deborah Redden, leaped over the judicial bench of Judge Mary Kay Holthus to attack her. Her desk is left in shambles, and body cam footage shows Redden spitting on a corrections officer nearly 24 hours later when being placed into a cell. You could also see one of the officers allegedly smacking Redden in the face before the video ends. The chaotic attack of Judge Holthus happened in early January. Courtroom video surveillance has gone viral.
In accordance with the laws of the state of Nevada, this court...
Redden was about to be sentenced for an attempted battery charge, but as the judge was speaking, Redden leaps forward, lunging over her bench. According to a grand jury transcript, Judge Holthus told jurors Redden trampolines like Superman, causing her glasses to fly off her face and her head to be slammed against the wall. She told the grand jury she curled up into a fetal position after her marshal and law clerk pulled Redden off of her. Judge Holthus testified if it wasn't for the two men, she would not be alive. Redden is now facing several felony and misdemeanor charges, including attempted murder and battery on a protected person. On Wednesday, the law clerk Judge Holthus credits for saving her life will be honored by the Las Vegas City Council. Michael Lasso will be recognized as a Citizen of the Month. Redden will be back in court on February 29th. I'm David Preston reporting for News 25.
In more local news, Senator Jackie Rosen meets with multiple officials to talk about rising housing costs and how they are affecting Nevadans.
On February 21st, Nevada Senator Jackie Rosen spoke with Reno Councilwoman Kathleen Taylor, Ann Silver, who is the president and CEO of the Reno Sparks Chamber of Commerce, Dr. Hillary Lopez, who is the executive director of the Reno Housing Authority, Maurice Page, the executive director of the Nevada Housing Coalition, and Andrew Rivas, a citizen who has been impacted by high housing cost. Senator Rosen stated that, "I'm grateful to everyone who participated in today's discussion, which underscored just how skyrocketing housing and rental prices are hurting Nevadans." She continued stating that she was committed to doing everything she can to lower costs and prevent corporate investors from taking advantage of Nevada families. Senator Rosen's legislation, the Housing Oversight and Mitigating Exploitation Act, also known as the Home Act, is reported to help lower housing costs for families by cracking down on hikes in rent and property costs in Nevada as well as across the U.S. According to a press release from Jackie Rosen, this directs the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development to investigate matters of both price manipulation and price gouging done by investors. In addition to this, it would make it illegal for anyone to rent or sell a unit during housing emergencies at unreasonable prices. Maurice Page, the executive director of the Nevada Housing Coalition, stated that Nevada is experiencing a housing affordability crisis that requires action. In parts of our state, we have seen how corporate housing investors are buying up homes and hiking costs for families.
A look at voter irregularities right here in Nevada. That and more local and national news when KPVM News 25 returns.
You're watching News 25. Local coverage you can count on. This segment of the news is brought to you by Pahrump's United Rentals. From home to job site, they have all your equipment needs. Call 775-990-4260.
Welcome back to News 25. Well, turning now to international news. Overnight airstrikes kill 48 people in the Gaza Strip and 3 Palestinians are shot as civilians during the West Bank scatter during a traffic jam. RJ Camacho has more on the ongoing Hamas-Israeli war.
On February 20th, the World Food Program had paused their deliveries of food to northern Gaza due to increasing chaos across the territory. According to reports from UN figures, the entry of trucks carrying aid for civilians in Gaza has been halved. UN and relief workers have accused Israel of failing to ensure the safety of convoys carrying humanitarian aid. The World Food Program has additionally warned that people are already dying from hunger-related causes. According to Ted Chaiban, who is an official with the UNICEF, Gaza is poised to witness an explosion in preventable child deaths. According to a report released on February 19th, conducted by the Global Nutrition Cluster in partnership with the UNICEF, for 95% of households within the Gaza, adults are having to restrict their in order for families per day. Well, in Rafah, which is Gaza's southern borders with Egypt population, according to the study, before the war started, this number was less than 1%. On February 22nd, overnight strikes were conducted by Israel that hit both southern and central Gaza. According to reports from health officials, these strikes resulted in the death of 48 people, half of which being women and children. Meanwhile, in the West Bank, the second of Palestine's two territories, 3 Palestinian gunmen had opened fire on morning traffic as well, causing tension to rise there. The shooting had resulted in the death of 1 and left 5 others wounded. For the airstrikes, specifically the southern town of Rafah had flattened, which is a Muslim place of worship. Another strike had hit a residential home in Rafah, which had sheltered a family of 4, including a mother and her child. For central Gaza, the overnight strikes killed 44 people, 14 of which were children and 8 were women. In regards to the West Bank shooting, gunmen had opened fire during a morning rush hour traffic jam. An Israeli man who was in his 20s was killed in the shooting, and 5 others, which included a pregnant woman, were left wounded. 2 of the gunmen were killed by security forces, while the 3rd was detained. Hamas has praised the attack and stated that they were, quote, a natural response to Israel's ongoing war. They have called for more attacks until they can achieve a fully sovereign Palestinian state with Jerusalem as the capital. However, while the terrorist organization praised the attacks, they did not claim responsibility for it.
Thankfully, fixes are now underway after numerous Nevada voters spot irregular mistakes in their voter history. News 25 is speaking with Nye County Clerk Mark Kampf, who's telling us more about this issue.
I was asked by KPVM TV to comment on the recent developments regarding the voter history issue within the state of Nevada. In Nye County, we use the VOTEC system that many counties, rural counties in Nevada use, and we were also affected by the settings that were established when this presidential preference primary was set up. And once we realized that the settings were not correct, we adjusted that appropriately, and overnight the voter history was corrected. I just want to make sure that the voters understand that this had no impact on their actual votes and how their votes were counted. When we get the ballots in the mail, we check them into the system one at a time, verify their signatures, and then a subsequent process under observation, separate this envelope from the ballots that come in. We then use a tabulation software to tabulate that information, and we continually balance those ballots that come in, either in mail or in person, with what we put through the tabulation process, so that there are no differences between the ballots that we receive, either in the mail or at the polls, and what we tabulate to include in our election results. This error that occurred had no impact whatsoever on the counting of the votes and the tabulation of the votes. Matter of fact, I am required by the Secretary of State to prove that I can reconcile what we have checked in as ballots received from the voters and ballots at the polls to the amount that we count as a ballot voted. At no time do we know whose vote it is, because we envelope from the ballot and a very controlled process. This fixed registration system where these types of issues will be resolved. Thank you.
And News 25 will be right back telling you how you can get out of a potentially shocking electrical situation.
You're watching News 25. Local coverage you can count on. News 25 is brought to you by Mountain West Lawyer, Injury Attorneys, 727-9500.
Thanks for staying tuned to News 25. Well, we have a safety question for you. What would you do if your vehicle struck a power pole? If you don't know what your next move should be, thankfully, Valley Electric Association is sharing different scenarios that could keep you safe if you ever find yourself in that type of emergency situation.
This segment of News 25 is brought to you by Valley Electric and its family of companies focused on serving our members. We're better together.
There's no way around it. Accidents happen. Would you know what to do if your vehicle crashed into an electric utility pole? While it may seem far-fetched, every year, tens of thousands of accidents occur when utility poles are struck by vehicles and other large equipment. Let's review what you should and should not do if you find yourself in this situation. The safest place for passengers after a collision with the utility pole is inside the vehicle, which acts as a path for the electrical current to reach the ground. You are safe inside the vehicle, but if you get out, you could be electrocuted. If your car hits a utility pole and brings down a power line, stay in your vehicle and wait until help arrives and power lines have been de-energized. Call 911 for emergency assistance. You should only exit the vehicle if a fire occurs, which is rare. If this happens, jump out and away from the vehicle, making sure no part of your body or clothing touches the ground and the vehicle at the same time. Land with both feet together and in small, shuffling steps, move at least 40 feet away from the vehicle to safety. The ground could be energized, so by keeping your feet together and shuffling away, you decrease the chance of electrical current entering your body through one foot and out the other. It's also worth noting what to do if you witness an accident involving down power lines. If you see an accident like this, remain in your vehicle. Remember, the ground could be energized. Call 911 to ensure help is on the way. When a collision with the utility pole occurs, most people are not thinking about electricity, but knowing what to do and what not to do could be the difference between life or death. We hope you never find yourself in this situation, but if you do, remember these safety tips to avoid electrocution. For more electrical safety tips and information, contact your local electric utility.
And thanks so much to VEA for those vital vehicle safety tips. And speaking of road safety, you can apply some of those tips for safety and not speeding during your weekend road trip tip with Mikey Ruhan.
Looking to get away this weekend? Just about an hour and a half away in Death Valley National Park, Artist Palette. Tucked behind an unassuming yellow landscape, the rainbow of Artist Palette is the highlight along the Artist Drive Scenic Loop. Here, visitors marvel at the array of colors: red, orange, yellow, blue, pink, and green, splashed across the hills. These colors are from volcanic deposits rich in compounds such as iron oxides and chlorite, which creates a rainbow effect. Stunning not only at Artist Palette, the Artist Drive Loop winds through hills carved by the erosive power of water and gives vistas of both the rugged black mountains and swirling white salt flats. While no maintained trails exist along this loop, several pullouts provide safe parking areas from which to explore this unique landscape on foot. Although Artist Drive and Artist Palette are beautiful any time of day, sunrise and sunset provide additional shadows and changing light, further enhancing the allure of this incredible place.
News 25 WeatherCam is brought to you by Lerner & Rowe Injury Attorney's Office in Pahrump. In a wreck, need a check? Call 702-877-1500.
Let's take a look at the Calvada Eye here in Pahrump through our Learner and Row weather cam. We see that beautiful crane. It's a beautiful winter day. A closer look at our temperatures after this break.
News 25 weather is brought to you by Dairy Council of Nevada. Undeniably delicious, undeniably dairy. Enjoy what's real.
Good evening, Nevada. I am Roy Rosell here from the Channel 25 Weather Studios and streaming everywhere at KPVM.TV. Taking a look at Nevada right now, up in northern Nevada, Fernley is at 54 degrees, Fallon is at 56, Carson City at 51 degrees. The cold spot in Nevada right now is Tonopah at 49 degrees, Goldfield also at 51 degrees, Beatty at 61 degrees, Amargosa at 67 degrees, Las Vegas at 62, and Death Valley at 77. Here in the Paradise of Pahrump, it is currently 61 degrees. The high just a little while ago was 64 degrees. Humidity 36% today, and the sun rose this morning at 6:23 a.m. and set at 5:32 p.m. Humidity goes up to 59%, and the low tonight is going to be 39 degrees. Taking a look at the 7-day forecast, it looks like we're going to be in the high 60s and the low 70s on Sunday, dropping back down into the 60s and high 50s throughout the next week. It's going to be partly cloudy throughout the most of the week until next Wednesday when we get back into the sunny weather that we've all been waiting for. And then something else that we've been looking forward to. Back to the desk, here's Unette.
Thanks so much, Rory. Awesome weekend forecast will definitely take the 70s. All right, that does it for this edition of News 25. I'm Unette Gentry, and from all of us here at KPVM and Ace Country Radio, thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you on the air next newscast. Good night.